Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis updated commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, commodities, ETFs that I follow. I'll interject my financial opinions as we go through it together. And if you need help with anything, check out finding-value.com, where I dive deeper into all these sectors, looking for potential investment opportunities. We do have a coupon code that's still active, May Day, if you're interested. So diving in, we're going to start with the dollar here. The DXY still looks like we've got the downtrend that is active. I don't see any large candlesticks in a huge reversal yet. There could be one here, but it's holding on. It's moving sideways over the past 4 or 5 days. The big trend is still intact of a lowering of the DXY. There it is on a little bit larger scale, and I do think that we could potentially end up in this box somewhere down there. We still have a ways to go with the dollar going lower, and that would more than likely, or sorry, I was on the 2 year. Here's the dollar. Dollar still moving sideways, momentum down. Same thing with the 2 year yield. They're both very similar. So I was on the 2 year yield, and I think the 2 year yield is going to go to this box down here, and the dollar will drift lower with it. We got the 10 year yield slightly higher today, but it does look like we could potentially get a little bit of a turning point, maybe. Little small down candlestick. We're getting some wicks at the top of these in the short term, and they're not very big candlesticks. But overall, the trend is still down, and we'll see if this is a continuation pattern or something like that where it rolls on over, which would be an inverted flag pattern. We got 30-year yield also, little bit of a wick at the top here, small candlestick. It could turn over, and this could be a more of a inverted flag pattern of some sort. So the momentum is still to the downside. That hasn't turned yet, and we could roll over here with the potential of rolling over here soon. TYX TNX ratio basically just moving sideways. We're still at a very low point with a lot of runway ahead of us for gold and silver to appreciate. They generally go up during this uninversion of the curve. Bond prices are slightly lower because yields were slightly higher today. And what we're looking for is a potential bottom. So we've broken out of this pattern to the upside, and we're looking for this to continue grinding higher. That means that yields are lowering. The 2 and 10, we still are uninverting the yield curve. We were down about 0.5%. The short end of the curve is at 3.58%. The 10 years at 3.75. And that's the uninversion of the yield curve. You can see this is falling. When this falls, that's generally when you get a slowdown as this comes lower. Those are those opportunities that we've seen in history where we get these events. So we may get one, we may not. No one knows outside of maybe some insiders that if they're going to pull the strings to do something, they would be the ones that would know. Gold up 4.4, $4.5 an ounce. It is still in uptrend mode. Still looks really good. We've got silver down 1.7%. I still think this looks fantastic. We're sitting on top of support. It's not a huge reversal candlestick or anything like that. Some people say, well, it is technically a bearish engulfing. We got a wick at the bottom here too, so there is support underneath us. I still think this looks good for the potential to go higher. We've broken out of the big pattern here. We've got the flag pattern, and we could break it anytime. We've got platinum down 2% or so. Doing a retest thing. I think this looks excellent. You've got your falling wedge, breakout, retest ensuing here, and I think probably within the next week or two, we could see this turn and hit it to the upside. Palladium down 3.44. This is a bearish engulfing here, and we are getting a pullback consolidation. Maybe we pull back to this 983-ish area for palladium. GDX down slightly, same with GDXJ and SILJ. They're all down a little bit, but they're not huge selling pressure. So it makes me think that everything is intact for a move higher. We are just consolidating here over time in all of these patterns in GDX, GDXJ, and SILJ. So they all look pretty good in my opinion. GDXJ being above support too. XEU to gold ratio down slightly today. We do have some resistance above us. That awesome resistance line that I drew there. I could put a little bit better one in there. There we go. If you guys want it to be a little bit better. We're trying to get above that. And right now we're underneath it. Gold and silver mining companies underperforming gold, and we are still at an incredibly good level. So that looks really good for a large move higher given rates continue lower. Crude oil down 0.6%. Not the end of the world, not a huge reversal candlestick or anything like that. I'd like to see a bullish engulfing show up here. Give me a little bit more confidence that we could go higher. There is one right here. And we're getting not a lot of selling pressure. So everything looks good to continue higher. I just want to see some follow through to get through this resistance area here. I'd like to punch through. That would give me more confidence that oil may not get the pullback that a lot of people are thinking. TTF gas ripping 5% higher. It's been a pretty good move ever since this falling wedge has broken out, and we could move higher here. It looks pretty solid. Natural gas in America just ripping it, 8.3%, big day, and that's coming off this double bottom. There's your double bottom, the breakout. This is your ideal entry point, and then we are moving on higher, so it looks really good. Our boy XOP, yeah, you know me, up slightly. Lots of small candlesticks all through here. It's like very indecisive. We don't have strong selling pressure. We don't have strong buying pressure yet. So I think this is indecision by the market. So you get the buyers and sellers are kind of equal to each other at this level at this moment. I really do think, or I would really like for XOP to get above this resistance area here at 150 and get up around 160s, 170s up there. Then we would clear all of this resistance that is above us. OIH up 0.8%. Lots of small candlesticks, buyers equal to sellers. It's an indecision is what I see. I think it favors going up just because that's the momentum that we have, but indecision because we usually if there's an imbalance, you get big selling pressure candlesticks or big buying pressure candlesticks. And right now the sellers brought this thing back and we're kind of just drifting higher slowly. Newcastle coal futures up 0.6%. Surprising it wasn't up more with TTF gas up as much, but sideways or higher is what I'm expecting. We're above support for coal futures. Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, absolute domination, 4% higher. That has broken out of its downtrend. We noticed that a few days ago here and here, and now it is hitting a little bit of the gas pedal here, boys. Looking good, looking good. Hopefully the momentum can continue. We also have uranium futures pricing just moving sideways. That hasn't followed yet, but I would expect this to potentially follow soon. URA up 3%, ripping it. And this is getting above that double bottom. There it is. URNM also piercing through that double bottom, and URNJ getting above that double bottom with a 7% update. Looking pretty strong. Let's hope we can continue. If I were to map this out, this is my guess. We break, we consolidate, and then maybe we hit it. That is one possibility that we could see. So if we get a little bit of a pullback on top of this, it is of no worries. It still looks good. We've got copper continuing up a little bit today. Still looks good. We've just been slowly creeping higher with copper prices in an uptrend. COPX up 0.9%. It's broken its downtrend. Looks good. We could still do a retest, which is still a possibility. I'm not saying it has to do it. I'm just saying it's a possibility. But it does look good above the trend line and support now. Iron ore, slightly higher. It's just been moving sideways. This could be kind of an inverted flag pattern of some sort. So there could be more downside. Aluminum moving sideways, still within this big channel that we've got. We've got nickel moving sideways, up 0.01%. And still, I'd wait for the green army to show up. We still got these red candlesticks showing up over here. I'd be patient. Moo, I think looks good. I think this is going to start an uptrend here. It went up. It has a falling wedge up against support, and it's starting to work its way on up. The one thing I do look for is when you zoom in, that you looking for the resistance level here, kind of through here. There's a little bit of a resistance level that goes through, and we want to get above that. We want to stay above that. So that's right where we're at. We kind of came back, hit this resistance support level, and I'd like to see this bounce off of it. But it looks good. It looks very good. Emerging markets up 0.78%. I think this is waiting for weaker dollar, weaker yields. And today we had yields mixed and the dollar slightly higher. So it's pretty strong for where the dollar was today. KRE down 1.45% or so. That's just consolidating here in a potential pattern where we could eventually break since we entered this from the downside upwards. So that looks good. We've got TAN up a little bit. It's holding on above support. That does look like it could potentially head higher. We've got lithium up 1.3. We're still underneath this resistance level. So we've got support here, resistance above our head, and we want to break above it to get a new high. That's what we want. REMX is doing the same thing. I'd like to break through this area at 41, like say maybe get up around 42 and get above that resistance level. Baltic Dry Index sideways. Not much really to report there. It looks good to go higher. Looks good. We've got XHB up 0.92%. So it's hanging in there, and the uptrend still intact. Kind of an ugly looking pattern going on here. But that's broken to the upside. Russell 2000 down slightly. Still looks good to go higher in my opinion. It's not anything major. Still above a bunch of support. The S&P 500 up 0.3%. It's hanging here. What are we going to do? Are we going to gap lower or are we going to continue higher? Only time will tell. The NASDAQ's doing the same thing. It's just moving sideways. Now, it's not a ton of selling pressure. It's not some big bearish engulfing candlestick. It's just hanging out there. Kind of an indecisive buyers equal to sellers area. SMCI up 1.9. This does look a little bit better. And we could break kind of out of this, and then I would get a little bit more bullish for a potential move higher SMCI. NVIDIA up a little bit, but still we are underneath resistance, chopping sideways. This is a bullish formation coming up where we could break that to the upside soon. We've got BTC just moving sideways, still looks bullish. Big green army candlesticks here with just sideways action. So that still looks good to go higher until we see something otherwise. And then Ethereum's also up 3.8. Looks pretty bullish to me to continue higher for Ethereum. That's our liquidity measures in the system, and liquidity is coming on up. So that's what I've got for today, guys. Give me a thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website. Mayday coupon code is still active. We did have our question and answer session on Sunday, which is yesterday, and that is posted to the website if you guys would like to view it. We did go over gold and silver companies and a bunch of other stuff that you guys had questions on, and I think we covered a good portion of it. We also talked about the real estate cycle and some other things. So that's all I've got for today. We'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.